Good afternoon, half morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to our June 25th general membership meeting. So if you saw, we opened up with a nice little poll about the Suns in the playoffs. As you know, they're red hot. And so we're looking at what is going to be the outcome of the playoffs for the Western Conference. So 53% of you said the Suns will win in 6 games, followed by tie for 21% at 5 games and 7 games. And 5% of you misled people, thought the Clippers would win. So apologies to you all. So we'll see how that goes. Good luck, everyone. Good luck to the Suns when they play on Saturday. So with that, we will get the meeting started. We have kind of a light agenda, but basically our first item is looking at appointing a new board member. So we have Kenny Keith, who was from Gila. He has come off the board. And so we have Kendra Santucci, who has been appointed to the board through October, where we will do our voting of new members. So I'd like to welcome Kendra to the board. She's from City of Tucson. She's been very active with a lot of our events all throughout the years, actually, as well as co-chairing one of our community engagement or membership engagement committees. And so we're really excited to have her on the board and a lot of the talent and ideas she brings. So welcome, Kendra.
Thank you so much, Felipe.
Along those lines, we will also be looking to put out a call for board members. We have several members that are going to be cycling out or moving off the board in the coming year. And so within the next few weeks, you should get a notification for a call for interest for people who would like to be part of the SWANA board. It's a great opportunity for networking, for exposure, to learn more about what's going on in the region. And so be on the lookout for that. We will look to get letters of interest, and then the board will look to vote and select new board members for the coming cycle at our October meeting in Tucson, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. We do have another item that I'd like to turn over to Pat Tapia regarding training, just kind of a teaser of what's to come. As you know, we are getting back to our new normal. And so SWANA is hot and heavy on planning some great things for the coming future to add value for you the members, to provide opportunities for certifications, for trainings, and just to really get back to that engagement that we were also used to prior to the pandemic. And so to give you a little what's to come, I'll turn over to Pat to talk a little bit about an idea we have that we're going to be planning for in the next couple months.
All right, very good. Thank you, Felipe. Good morning, everyone. Appreciate everybody getting on the Zoom today for today's meeting. Just a quick update as far as some training that we're going to be looking at doing down here in Tucson is going to be the integrated solid waste management training and a zero waste training that we're going to be looking at. We're actually working on the dates that we're going to have that. It's going to be probably most likely the middle of August. And we'll be finalizing that. We'll get some information out to everybody, but once we get all that in, it's going to be actually an in-person training that we've already made arrangements through the DoubleTree here in Tucson. And we are looking, like I said, either the second or the third week of August, once we finalize that. As soon as we have that, we'll get that information out to all the membership. So hopefully you can all sign up as soon as possible. We are hoping to at least have anywhere between 10 to 20 participants in each class. So that's pretty much the update on the training that we're going to be looking. And it seems like a lot of chapters are actually going into in-person training now. I'm kind of partnering up with Christina Paulsgrove. Christina, if you want to add anything to that, please do so.
Yes, we're looking at, did you say the classes, what we're targeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Integrated solid management.
Yeah, integrated solid waste management and the zero waste certification. Zero waste plans are being developed in many cities in Arizona and across the country. So, and I think one of the reasons we want to do it in Tucson is because as we're working through this plan, we find that so many people have different ideas about what zero waste is, and this is going to help us all get kind of on the same page. But we do need a minimum of 10 people to be able to offer the class, and we're working with identifying the faculty at this time. So we'll send out more information as soon as we have it.
And on top of that, one thing we want to mention too is that it's going to be at a pretty good discounted rate to the memberships, so, part of the benefit of being a member of the Arizona chapter is to be able to offer these kind of benefits and better rates for these training sessions. So looking forward to seeing a lot of people sign up for the training.
Both of the courses go over 3 days. So, this is a really good opportunity to build up your CEUs that we weren't able to get during COVID. So
it is a training certification. So actually you'll get the training for the 3 days. One thing that continues going forward that was a change through the SWANA is that if you want to take a testing to actually get the certification, that is something that you'd have to do after you take the training session, and then you do that online. You would actually sign up online, and that's a different test, a different charge, but that would enable you to get the actual certification.
Thank you, Pat and Christina. So we're looking forward again. This is another example. We realized that we had a pretty quiet year with the pandemic, and so we were looking to do a lot in the way of supporting training, certifications, and getting caught up on all of the great things that we want to offer to our membership. So the zero waste is a new wrinkle to a lot of the certifications, but as Christina mentioned, many cities around the state and across the country are really focusing in on zero waste. I know Phoenix has an aggressive zero waste goal by 2050. And so we are working diligently to start preparing for what that looks like. And again, to Christina's point, how do we even define zero waste and what does that mean to us? So looking forward to that opportunity in August. Moving on, I guess it's now the second in-person event. I have it listed as first ever in-person event, but we are very excited to announce in October is kind of our big welcome back to in-person SWANA gatherings. So we're looking to have our general membership meeting in October, along with a training, kind of a symposium. For those of you who remember the symposium we did not too long ago, as well as a golf tournament. So it's going to be at Star Pass in Tucson, beautiful resort and course, and we will be offering certifications there. Obviously, various safety trainings, modules for career development, for industry knowledge enhancement. And so we're doing a lot in the way of working to program that. So more to come on that, but the dates, so you can kind of put it on your calendar now, will be October 1st and 2nd, again in Tucson at Star Pass. I believe it's a Marriott. And so we're really excited to get together and bring people back into the fold and have a great training weekend, as well as a lot of fun with the golf tournament and just getting back to networking. And during that time, we'll also be announcing new board members, scholarship winners from the various scholarships that we have offered throughout this year. So we're excited about that. And then just, again, a chance for us to get together and get that networking back that we've been missing for the past year. So save the date, October 1st and 2nd in Tucson. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Pete Klomoski for the legislative update.
Thank you, Felipe. It's been rather interesting to watch what's been happening down at the Arizona legislature. There's a lot of bills being worked on, but they weren't working on the budget. So the governor decided to veto all the remaining bills until the budget was done, if you recall that. And they finally got a budget worked on this last Tuesday, and then the Democrats walked out. So they had to work through Wednesday. And so anyway, bottom line is they've now resubmitted all the bills that were vetoed. And we have there were a total of about 11 bills that affected our industry. Some of the more notable ones is they extended the CDL from 5 to 8 years. They defined a advanced recycling facility that, does more with the post-use polymers and things like that than just your average recycling facility. And they're looking at, or they've increased the gross weight for legal gross weight for natural gas vehicles. Those are the type of the things. What they are talking about, some speed limit information. That was the one that was caught in the veto party, and so we'll have to see how that goes. So my plan is they're supposed to be done by June 30th, and so I'll have a wrap-up report on what the state legislature did this session. Then on Wednesday, we had the National SWANA Core Advocacy Group. We meet twice a year, and we get caught up on all the national information as far as legislation and things like that. The main point that came out was the fact that with the change in administrations, there was a change in direction, as you might expect. But a lot of the stuff, even this national recycling strategy that had already been worked out, was put on hold as they review it to add elements of climate change and environmental justice. These are two new ideas that are coming to our industry. Actually, everything in the government is going to look at climate change and environmental justice. The national recycling strategy is going to be updated. Then they were talking about the PFAS, the manufactured chemicals that are seeping into our culture, and they're finding out that it's not necessarily healthy. A new commission is being set up by the administration to look at that over the next 4 years. They're looking at water contamination first, but they're also looking at landfills and how they can help mitigate it as well as contain it. So there is a new ARF report out available, and I'll be sending a link out with that in the report I'll be putting out in the next week or two. Their main focus on climate change is talking about methane reduction, removing food waste from landfills. I found out there's a large technical group just focused on this type of this topic. There's a lot of resources the National SWANA has, and there is available as a phone call. And so they urged us as we run into these new situations, if we have questions, they're there to help and assist us. But right now, they've been using flyover airplanes to monitor methane production.
Recording in progress.
And mainly in California and Pennsylvania most recently. But they're looking to have a satellite network in orbit by 2023 if everything goes well. And they want to be able to have a regular monitoring of methane on landfills. And SWANA is going to be involved in trying to make sure that we have access to that information so that there's no surprises. They talked about the surprise knock on the door. They know all about our methane leak in landfills, but we don't. So we want to be a partner with that. And so SWANA is going to help there. And then environmental justice, again, they just want to make sure everyone is enjoying the same protection from environmental hazards, and that everyone has access to decisions based on environmental hazards. So again, those things are going to be very present in anything that we do moving forward. Federal landfill rules. A lot of states were waiting for the United States to come up with the latest landfill rules. Good news is Arizona has a state plan, went into effect June 21st. and was basically just added additional monitoring to the monitoring that's already happening. And again, they have people at National SWANA on the technical division, Amy Bannister, for example, that will be happy to answer any questions there. A lot of legislature activity. The Recover Act, the Recycle Act have been supported by SWANA, and they would urge us to contact our local reps to support that as far as possible additional funding for recycling programs. There's a lot of other legislation pending, huge sweeping bills that are not likely to move very fast because of their size. So they're now breaking them up into smaller pieces and folding them into other legislation. That includes the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act, the Clean Future Act, the Plastic Waste Reduction Act, and the Zero Waste Act. So I'll give you a summary of those in the report as well. The main one that's hot for us is called the James Manchin Recycling Infrastructure Act. The big infrastructure bill has been stalled because of the size. The Manchin recycling infrastructure, instead of, for example, $500 million spread over 5 years, is proposing $100 million in the first year. And so they were asking for SWANA support, and they're leaning towards that. But there's a couple of wordings that we'd like to get clarified before SWANA gets full support. And I'll give you an update on that. And that they wrapped up with the Canada Plastics Action Plan, where we're working with Canada on getting rid of our plastic. And in connection with the Basel Convention, which is the worldwide agreement on how to deal with plastic. Some parts of plastic are considered hazardous materials, and the United States is working on clarification on that because it would greatly impact how things work in getting rid of plastic. So that is what's been going on the national level. Again, as you can see, there's a lot of things that are affecting landfills, and so I'm going to be reaching out to our landfill members to make sure that they have the information that they need going in for their decision-making process. But that's my report, Felipe.
Great, thank you, Pete. And if any of you have any questions you'd like addressed, please, you can ask them in the chat or in the Q&A section. So we will be fielding those as we progress through the meeting. But great update, Pete. Appreciate it. Lots going on. So stay tuned. Next on our agenda, we have the international board update. So Pat Tapia is our IB rep, and I'll turn it over to Pat.
Thank you, Felipe. Good morning, chapter members and sponsors. We really appreciate you guys attending the meeting today. As for a national SWANA update, we had a board of directors meeting on Monday, June 21st, and the following items were discussed. First was the Eagle operating budget, which was reported to be holding strong. I know with COVID and everything, there was a huge concern of having a shortfall, but some of the things that actually help keep it stable and keep it hold is that they received 2 PPP loans. So the first one was actually issued before July of last year for $434,000, and then they received a second one after July for $412,000. And they haven't actually tapped into those funds. They're actually putting those funds aside in case they need them. And part of that is that they've actually applied for forgiveness. So one thing you do on the PPP loans is you can actually apply for forgiveness on this and not have to pay those back. They've already submitted one of the requests for the first PPP that they had received, and they have 90 days to hear back for that. So it's only been 1 month. Once they receive that, they're going to wait a couple months, and then they'll actually submit a request for the second receival of the PPP. The next item that was discussed was memberships. Overall, even with COVID in place, we saw the membership rise to just about 11,000 members nationwide, which is really good. But they've also seen a decrease. It's kind of dropped a little bit. So we're right now holding at about 10,724 members. So it's dropped slightly, but not a major concern at this time, but something that they want all the chapters to continue to monitor. They're going to continue to look at that and make sure we don't see a downward decline on members signing up. Then we start talking about the virtual training centers that was offered by National SWANA website, and they've performed favorably. I mean, they had set a budget for 140,000 for setting up the training, and they've exceeded that already by 300,000. So you see a lot of people starting to go into the virtual training. You can see at SWANA, so that's a good thing. They're pretty happy about that. Part of the training we had on June 15th and 17th, we had the summits just a few weeks back with sustainable materials management and landfill challenges. Those also were successful. They had actually budgeted about 80,000 for that training session, and they exceeded that. They actually went up to 110,000 on the revenues. Pretty good portion of that, though, I got to tell you, is sponsors. So that's why it's so critical and important that we, include in sponsors and thank our sponsors, and they help this organization run. So we really do appreciate that. The next thing was the MOLO certification course. It's been an ongoing. They continue to work on this. They're revamping it, redoing it, and their goal is to have it all completed and ready for execution in early fall. So you'll see that coming up, that they'll be able to offer that at WasteCon this year. And SWANA, it continues to be visible. David Biederman is always approached often to participate in federal issues. You kind of saw Pete kind of alluded to a lot of that SWANA is well recognized within this industry on being leaders and really, being able to contribute to a lot, whether, it's landfills, recycling, sustainability programs within our industry. So they really do look at SWANA to be a key role player in that. Also mentioned that chapters, a lot of chapters actually, are beginning to hold more in-person events, which they're really happy about that as far as having more in-person events now. They lifted that form that they were looking for everyone to sign off on and get approval for these training sessions. So kind of looking for everybody kind of like we are here within the Arizona chapter doing as well. But one thing that was discussed was the virtual training. It's a new business model. COVID has kind of forced our industry and to look at opportunities to reach staff that maybe hadn't been able to attend events or aren't able to travel. So they've actually seen this and look into it a positive. I mean, even though a lot of us have been able to travel and go to these events, we have a lot of staff that is not able to go. So they want to really continue this march on having kind of that hybrid where we still have in-person events, but still offer the virtual training. We just see that as a positive going forward. So they're going to continue this new business model. They talked about WasteCon. Make sure everybody knows about it. WasteCon is going to be in Orlando, Florida. Mark the dates, November 1st to the 4th. They also made some award recommendations, which we had to vote. I can't go into detail because it's still kind of confidential on that. But it was it was a voting session as far as who would be receiving those awards. The other thing that was discussed was legal services. I don't know if some of you have or been able to work with, but Barry Shanoff has been with, as far as legal for SWANA, for well over 20 years. He's finishing up his contract, and his will expire at June of 2022, which he's going to be moving on and doing other things. So they're going to start working over the next few months. They already have put together a committee that they're going to be working on doing a recruitment and looking at another legal attorney to support SWANA. And they just wanted to also mention Waste Expo is next week. SWANA National will be having a booth at Waste Expo. So if anybody is going to that, please stop by, say hello, and let them know you're there from SWANA. Like I mentioned earlier, WasteCon in November. So we're looking forward to the WasteCon, which is going to be coming up November 1st to the 4th. So part of the pricing for early sign up, if you could sign up before August 31st, it's $899. So you can get the early registration for WasteCon. If you go after August 31st, then it's going to go up $100. So that'll be $899 to sign up for going out to Florida. And then the other thing is a quick reminder was the Sustainable Operations Action Resources, which is now SOAR, which everybody kind of used to remember was SWANA Palooza. That's the new name of SOAR. That's going to be in Kansas City on March 21st to the 24th of 2022. So that's pretty much the update from our meeting that we had on Monday.
All right, thank you, Pat. Great update. And just to echo, I think one thing the pandemic has taught us is all how to be adaptable and nimble in how we provide service, how we interact with our membership, how we interact with each other. And so the Arizona chapter is also very aware of all the new, kind of the new normal. And so we are going to be doing a lot of lessons learned in terms of how we continue to move forward as a chapter. Obviously, getting back together and doing a lot of in-person events is something we cannot wait to do, and we have a lot going on and planned in the coming months. But we do want to make sure that we don't squander the opportunity of the lessons learned from the virtual engagement, like Pat mentioned. And so we will be doing, kind of striking that balance of how do we maintain our in-person, face-to-face stuff while still offering virtual events and trainings and ways to engage and stay engaged that we otherwise would not have been doing had we not gone through this experience. And so more to come on that, but Arizona is very dedicated to ensuring we cast a wide net, and we are staying engaged with our membership across the state in the various ways that work for them. And so we will continue to push forward on that as well. One way we're going to be doing that, and more to come on this, it's kind of just a teaser, is some of you have already gotten them, and if you haven't, we're going to be pushing out a new SMS texting notification process. So Lorizelle Stellar, our vice president, is working on developing that along with Jacob Dalton. So at the next meeting, you'll be getting more info on how to get real-time messaging information, sign up opportunities for various events through your phone. And so another way of us just trying to really stay in tune with our members all over and doing it in a way that's convenient for you. So with that, I said we had a light agenda, so we do. It's Friday. I'm sure people want to get to their day and their weekend. I didn't see any questions in the chat, but just to recap, we have August to look out for in terms of our zero waste and integrated solid waste manager training. October is going to be our big get back together party in Tucson for golf and training and certifications. And then, as you know, in November, we have WasteCon coming up. So stay tuned, lots of exciting things. I am very excited to start to be able to see a lot of you, not just on the screen, but in person. And so we're really excited to get back to business the way we're accustomed to. So with that, I would like to thank everybody on the board. Thank our sponsors again for your ongoing support of our chapter. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the great things and program the things that we're looking to do. So we look forward to also engaging with our sponsors in real life. And so have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.